fresh brewed coffee, sage and eucalyptus at a spa. Outside, the forest, the mountains, the sea, baking bread or cookies, laundry. But let's not forget about the sweet smell of success. Today's guest, Kimberly Burgess. Kimberly, my dear, when I started stalking you and found out that you've been in that business for a long time, it's your specialty. It is your thing. Introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you, Kimberly, for having me today. It's such an honor to always work with you. You're amazing as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I have been in the industry for 27 years, believe it or not. So I always say, in this case, it's a good thing to be old because with age comes experience.
And I don't like to say old. I would like to say matured in who we are.
Yes.
And what we do and from the inside out.
Exactly. It's only a number.
It's a privilege, actually, to age. It truly is. There's some things that go with it that we may not exactly like. However, how lucky are we to be able to continue our journey?
So true. So true.
Why did you get into, what were you, 12? And you're like, I'm going to do loans.
Get ready for the real estate show that takes you across the barriers and into the danger zone. That Bitchin' Real Estate Podcast with your host, Tenacious T.
I was pretty young, actually. I was only 20 years old. I went to work for a bank, and I literally worked my way up. So, school of hard knocks all the way.
Yeah. Where did you start? What was your first?
As a teller. So, I started right at the teller window. I think I did that for maybe a year, and I just kept getting promoted, went into customer service. Then a few years later, supervisor, managing my own bank, which, was a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
And then it's hard when you're trying to manage everybody and keep track of everybody and just keep people. A lot of people don't want to work. So
really, there's people that don't want to work.
Oh boy! After doing that for about 10 years, I said, you know what? I'm going to go just all into lending because at least then my problems are my problems. I don't have to worry about everybody else.
Yes, I will say that I spent a little time as a bank teller. Using a DOS system.
Yes.
That there was 2 days that the DOS system failed and no one could get their money. No one could do transactions.
Man.
You do not want to be sitting there and tell someone, I'm sorry, you can't get any of your money.
No, it's not a fun thing.
So when you say school of hard knocks, people protect their money. It's their livelihood and they're trusting you with all of that. Loans are not easy. I've worked with a lot of loan officers, and I know for a fact that if you're not on it, like every step of the way, the whole thing is just going to fall out.
It's very true.
What prompted you to say, I'm going to start getting into the loan side of this? Was it because you wanted people to be able to get into a home and build their investment?
I've always loved helping people, so even before lending, when I was just working on the operations side of the bank, I loved teaching. In fact, as a child, believe it or not, I wanted to be a home ec teacher. Aww. That was kind of my thing. I wanted to be a teacher. I love teaching. I just love taking my knowledge and passing it along to others. And then
I love that.
I remember the first time when I did close my first loan, I thought, wow, this is amazing. Like, these people are so happy. And if it's a first-time home buyer, it's such a great feeling because owning a home is it's a big deal. It's a very scary process.
Yes.
Anytime you're dealing with money, it's extremely stressful. But to see those people so happy and proud that they were able to maybe do something that they thought was kind of out of reach.
It's the biggest purchase they will ever make. One transaction for their family that they can leave to their children. And it's a big responsibility to take on.
And such a sense of security as well that a home offers. Mm-hmm. And then when people start coming back to you again, oh, you helped me with my last transaction or my last loan. It makes you feel good because you're trusted.
Yeah.
And
that's a key one. So you have this aura about you, and it's soft, but it's strong. There's a strength in that. So you're approachable. I feel like I could tell you anything. That is what it takes to be a successful mortgage officer, loan officer in this business, and for your longevity.
definitely.
27
That's a
years,
long
people.
time.
Not only is that a long time, it's a testimony.
Yeah.
Testimony how good you are at your job. And I'm sure you're constantly studying the market. Tell me a little bit about, what is your routine when it comes to making sure you stay on top of what's happening in the market?
Just education, reading articles, staying in touch not only with my market, but nationally is really important.
Yes.
So we have a lot of great tools, a lot of things that we can follow. I personally follow MBS Highway, Barry Habib. He's awesome. I mean, he
Good to know.
has the market right dialed in. So I love those guys there. I tune into them every day. And
repeat the name so we can all follow.
Yep, it's MBS Highway.
MBS Highway. I don't even
Habib.
follow that. I'm going to definitely
awesome.
follow that.
He's awesome, and he, he's an expert at what he does. So
another thing I noticed is you're loyal. You've stayed with the same companies for a while, but you had a recent change.
I did, yes.
And I bring this up, well, not only to let people know where you're at now, but as we evolve, so does our technique. We start to recognize when certain things are no longer an advantage to our clients, to ourselves, to our career. And other times we just need a new, fresh perspective, a breath of fresh air. Tell us about, is it Axia?
Yep. So I'm with Axia Home Loans. I just started with them back in May. And one of the big things that attracted me to them is that they are employee owned. So they have an ESOP.
Ooh.
And the bank that I worked at in Colorado for 23 years, they had an ESOP as well. So I've been blessed to have this great retirement portfolio where I have bank stock, and now I'll get to start that over again, along with a 401k.
Not only are you an independent, totally hot, knows what she's doing, but you have like retirement and assets. Yeah. Oh, this is sexy. All right. Sorry, I'm distracted. Continue.
No, it's okay. So that was one of the reasons. I was also looking for a change. Not that my prior company wasn't a good company, but they were very big. We were the second largest lender. And sometimes bigger
isn't always better.
It's not always better. So
right.
I was sad to leave. I was very close with everyone there. I left obviously on good terms.
Yeah.
But I was just looking for something different. And like you said, sometimes it's good to get a fresh perspective. Yeah. And sometimes you get comfortable, and comfortable isn't always good.
Comfortable. I got to be honest. Everybody knows I'm a little different. It's okay to be comfortable with your Christmas morning routine. It's okay to be comfortable with having dinner with your family. But when it comes to evolving the inner self, evolving where you want to be, whether it's rich, whether it's in a van but down by the river, don't get comfortable. Because when you're comfortable, you've given up.
Yep.
So Axia, explain the ESOP again one more time.
Yep. So basically everybody who works for the company has a stake, a share of ownership in the company. You obviously have to put in a little bit of time under your belt. So after 1 year, then you start getting dividends from the stock. And then as the company grows and as the company becomes more successful, the stock price will go up. So just to give an example, when I started 23 years ago at that bank as a little bank teller, our price per share was $10. It's now, I think, in the mid 40s.
Wow. Yeah.
So, you have that accumulate over all those years, and then, it's just great.
Don't you think as a collective, everyone wants the company to do better?
Oh, for sure.
So,
for sure.
So they're not going to be, there's no complacency.
Right.
Because if there is, then your livelihood becomes that.
And that's one thing I am so impressed about at Axia. I mean, everybody behind the scenes, because let's face it, I can be the best loan officer in the world, but if I don't have a good team backing me, it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I have an amazing assistant, Tabitha. I can't say enough good things about her. She's amazing. My processors, my underwriters, people in HR, everybody that I have touched base with there has been incredible.
Let's talk a little bit about your process. I know for a fact that you will answer your text immediately. Obviously, if you're not in a thing.
Right.
But as both a consumer and a real estate agent, underwriting and having your direct connection, I need you to be so connected with your underwriters that I know what's going on. Tell me about those processes.
Definitely. That's one thing. Finance and lending is very similar to real estate. It's easy to get a license.
Yeah.
Provided you can pass the test, anybody can go out and get licensed to do what we do.
Which is crazy.
It doesn't make you good. Just because you can get the license doesn't make you good. It's more than just taking a loan application and collecting name, address, date of birth, social, pulling credit. If you don't know those guidelines and you don't know them well, if you do have a situation where you are in underwriting and that underwriter comes back to you and says, oh, no, we can't do this or we need to change that, even if it just comes down to it being maybe I think that's a little too inconvenient for my client, I can pull that guideline and shoot it back to them, obviously in a very tactful, nice way, because you want to keep that underwriter on your good side. But you can say, hey, this is what I pulled out of the guideline. Here's the way that I'm reading it. Here's how I think we should do it.
Right.
And at least they're receptive to that.
You know what I call that? A solutionist.
Yes.
You have enough experience and enough savvy to immediately see something and start searching for the solution.
Exactly.
And deliver it in such a way that it makes sense to the underwriter so that they can complete the task and close the deal.
Yes.
And when I say deal, not saying obviously it's a livelihood, but the deal for the family. For the family that you're working for.
Definitely.
I know that's why you do it.
For sure.
Because
I take it to heart. I really do. And I've gotten better over the years because you can't let everything impact you personally.
Right.
And sometimes it's very difficult. But I do take it to heart because in the end, it all falls on my shoulders. And the last thing I want is for someone not to get their dream because of me.
Yeah. Do you have a percentage of, rattle off some numbers for us. Give us your success stats.
Oh boy, do I have to?
Yes.
I hate bragging.
But no, this is a show you need to brag. Would you brag, please?
So to be honest,
yes.
I haven't lived here in Arizona long. I've been here over 4 years. I spent 2 years in California prior to that. So I feel like I'm underperforming, to be 100% honest.
She's an overachiever. We have another topic we're going to talk about here in just a moment.
But I'm very difficult on myself. I'm very tough on myself. So I always think I can do more. I should be doing more. My numbers should be better. My numbers should be higher. When I was a lender in Colorado, I was handling about 17 to 23 files a month.
Wow.
So, I was a big I was a big producer.
And 17 to 23. So each file has to be pre-qualified before it even goes into, they're under contract. And then they're under contract. And during the under contract, we're waiting for, the okay from inspections. We're waiting for appraisals. In between that, you're waiting for clients to send you all of the initial paperwork.
Right.
And that's where it gets hairy.
Yeah.
And again, if you're not in line, staying on top of it, holding the hand of your client and being gentle with them, but at the same time being firm, it's not going to happen. There are so many moving parts that people just don't understand. That's a 60, 70-hour week for you at that volume.
It's a lot of work. And it's funny because people look at us and they think, wow, your job's so easy. You guys make all this great money and you get to work from home. And it's like, yeah. And I might be up at 2 a.m. working on files.
Yes.
And Sundays and holidays sometimes. Christmas, Thanksgiving, yes, I have a life. I have, family or friends that I want to be with on holidays. But I'll still answer. Yes, I still will respond. So,
speaking of having a life, I'm sure you notice the gams on this gal. You have started doing something. I think maybe it was right when that C word thing hit. I love your posts. I look
you.
for them every morning.
Aw,
I'm a little
you.
emotional about it because she's a fitness model. She's getting ready for her competition the 7th? Is it?
November 6th.
November 6th. How do you find time for that? Not only for that, but to take the time and to give a shit enough to post, hey, have a good day. I mean, that's not what you say, but that's what I feel like when I look at it.
But I have to be careful.
You can tell that she genuinely just says, have a good day. I'm here for you. Tell me about that.
So I've always been super active and into fitness. Even as a child, I was a child athlete, track, gymnast, and I was very, very good at that. So I love doing activities that I'm good at. It's probably one of my weaknesses. I don't like doing things I'm not good at. So always been active, and that's carried through to my adult life. I was super into CrossFit. I mean, that sport is still so close to my heart just because it's such a good community of people. And we have fun, and we do other activities outside of the gym. And it's still really, I get a little bit worked up about it because it was just a really, really big part of my life. But then COVID hit, all the gyms closed, which I literally thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown. I'll be honest, 100%.
And when you get into that zone of a regular routine, it becomes needed like food.
Yes.
It's fuel for my mind, for my body,
a release.
For my well-being, for my mental health.
Yep.
I cannot say enough. It can be as simple as making sure you take a 30-minute walk.
Yes.
It does something. I was right there. I spent every last penny I had and I put a pool in. It had to happen.
For sure.
How did you make it through?
So, COVID hit. I was devastated. We're literally doing Zoom workouts. The gym I belong to is nice enough to let us borrow equipment.
Nice.
Some people didn't even have equipment. Using, milk jugs filled with sand or coolers or anything you could use to lift any sort of weight. Mm-hmm. So we're doing Zoom every day, and I kept getting more and more fit because it was just driving me. I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm in my mid 40s now at the time, and you're hitting menopause, all these crazy things. I'm like, no,
isn't that
I'm
fun?
like, this is not going to happen. Like I'm just going to go harder. So I, went through that whole phase, and then I started looking after gyms opened back up. I started looking at my body, and I thought, yes, I'm fit, but I don't like how my body looks personally. Mm-hmm. And I'm, again, very, very hard on myself. But I was like, I want shape.
It's sculpting.
Yes,
it's sculpting.
I wanted to be sculpted.
And you want to challenge yourself. It's natural human instinct to challenge yourself. And I've always thought your shape was amazing.
But
watching it, and again, those daily posts and just seeing this beautiful creature emerge, it's got to be so satisfying.
It is, and I'm still tough on myself because even today, looking in the mirror, I'm thinking, gosh, I don't feel like my body's ready for this competition, which people want to punch me in the face for.
And it is okay to feel that way.
Right.
I will acknowledge that.
Right.
I do the same thing, put the makeup on and I do the hair, but there's always that little part of me that says, it can be a little better.
Yes.
It can be a little better. That's drive.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with drive. And there's nothing wrong with expressing. I'm good. I'm not completely satisfied. I think you're going to do amazing. I want to go and cheer you on.
Thank you.
But you're doing this for yourself, not for anyone else.
No.
So it really
there
doesn't
is
matter.
Nobody else.
There really doesn't matter. Should we touch base on that?
We'll get to that. But I did just want to say that sometimes it is good to change up your routine, whether it's exercise, whatever it is, eating, exercise, because even though I was super fit and doing CrossFit, the movements are totally different from what I'm doing now. So now I'm doing straight bodybuilding. Yeah. I was doing no cardio until 2 days ago. I wasn't even allowed cardio. So for me, going 6 days a week, hard.
Building the muscle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then having to change to bodybuilding, it was like I had to slow down my process. Everything is slow and controlled and no cardio and very, very, very disciplined.
Food discipline.
And very isolating. That's the biggest difference. There's a very, very dark side to bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Because you have to be selfish. If you're not, it's not going to work.
It is an extreme form of discipline. I know that I thought about it for a while, and I'm like, no. Maybe I'll do it at 60. I don't know. But there's so many things that, number one, you have to give up. And number
many things.
And number two, embrace and make it a lifestyle.
Yep.
For a long time. This isn't, okay, I'm going to do a competition in a month. This is years.
Right.
You had a base. You had a base because you're an athletic person.
Right.
But you've been working towards this for what, 18 months?
I just started bodybuilding November 18th of last year.
Oh, well, can we slap her now?
So not even a year. And I'm kind of a little
but
bit
you had
of
a base.
genetic
You had
freak.
a base.
Yeah, I did.
You had
I
a
did.
base.
I did not go in overweight, but you know, like my coach tells me, like you came in and yes, you were fit, but I had huge traps from lifting up a huge heavy barbell. I had little skinny legs because I would run, hike, bike every day, plus do CrossFit. I was just nonstop. In some ways, I was kind of the skinny fat.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
You know, so not that your shape just isn't right. You're not proportional. Where now, holy smokes, my trainer and coaches are amazing.
Like
amazing.
I was just telling her as she was coming in, she posted a picture. I think it's in your stories.
Yes.
And I had to show my husband. I'm like, would you look at her legs and her butt? Oh my Lord.
Yes.
And I have to say, what are these ones called up here?
Oh, traps.
Okay, so the traps, but the shoulder has
the shoulder.
rounded out.
Yep.
And coming down into the pec, I'm like, look at that. Look at that. That's gorgeous. I see the difference. I do.
Oh, I compare pictures all the time just to see how far I've come, and in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's nothing. It's not even a year.
It's not. And that's where I have to really stop being so hard on myself, because my coach tells me, he says, you know, a lot of people choose bodybuilding. He said, bodybuilding chose you. Like your body loves it.
You got some guns,
Your
man.
body loves it.
Yes.
And I love it too. But it's more than anything, it's a mind.
No, and I do cold plunges, and cold plunges it's mind over matter.
Yep.
And it sucks those first couple of seconds, but when you can just glide into that, it's suddenly about 90 seconds later, it's like, I did it.
Yes.
Every time you do a workout and you walk out of there, you say, I don't even have to ask you. You say, I did it. And you're proud of yourself.
For sure.
That is what makes you the divine feminine. Having that pride and a job well done. And I do want to touch a little bit on your divine feminine one. I believe this is the age of women once again finding their independence.
Amen.
But staying in their grace and their mystery.
Yes.
Not the WAP, their grace and their mystery. Because your essence of the divine feminine is a gift. It's a gift.
Agree.
Speaking of independence. So, we've already covered that she's well set. Tell us about your relationship status, if you wouldn't mind.
Oh, I'm single.
Oh, yeah, she's single. Stay tuned for part 2 next week. Kimberly Burgess and the famous questions.
At Sunday.